Okay, it's Monday, February 23rd. Let's do the Monday crossword today. This one is by Hannah Binney, and I'm going to try something. So every week I've been trying to do something with Mondays, which is a bit different. Essentially just trying to do a bit more of a walkthrough, sort of a methodical approach to puzzles. And, I was just trying to figure out ways to I can restrict um, the sort of process to make it a bit more challenging for myself, but also to see how I can maybe like show how like a real puzzle could be solved if you're not so experienced. So I think what I'll do this time is this. Because you sometimes you're allowed to, well, I mean, not sometimes, you are allowed to use whatever you want to solve puzzles. There was a quote by a previous Times editor, Will Wang, who said, it's your puzzle, just solve it however you want. So there really is nothing wrong with using Google or anything if you want to help yourself solve puzzles. You can use the hints as well. There will be clear and reveal hints for the letters here, but I can't do that. I can't use those because I'll lose my streak if I use any hints for that. So I'm not going to be doing that. But if there is a bit of trivia or a name or a proper noun, something like that, where you could reasonably use Google to find that answer, then I'm just going to let myself start there. I'm going to try to do this in a way where the flow of the grid is like good enough that um, it doesn't require super obscure crossword knowledge to solve. But of course, I'm allowed to search, like, I'm allowed to, like, sort of search things up, if you will. So, sort of the restriction I'm giving myself today is I start by first filling in all of the words that you could just Google and get without like 100% confidence first, and then slowly work towards clues that have definitions with multiple possible answers and other things like that. So, let's just get started and see what we can get here. So buffoons, I'm going to first put an S at the end. I'm going to go with that. Paula of American Idol. You can search this up. I'm pretty sure this is Paula Abdul. I'm going to give that to myself. Paula Abdul. She's a singer. I think American Idol is a song. Final use for an old T-shirt. Let's go. Let's skip that one. Enraged. What my guitar gently does in the classic George Harrison song. So I don't actually know this one. I don't really know this one. So let's just see what else I can get. Um, Mesozoic or Paleozoic. These are eras. Could be eon. I think it's era. Let me just see. Yeah, it's era. So these are both examples of eras. Let's see what else there is. Blank fide, bona fide. Then what is this? Please like and subscribe and the like on YouTube videos. So, and the like makes you think this is multiple things, so it's a plural with an S at the end. I'm gonna put an S there. Cartoonist Bechdel is the Bechdel test. I think it was Amanda Bechdel. I think it is. Let's see what this is. No, it's not. Shoot, who was it actually? I don't want to look at this myself because I know I've seen this name before. She's the one that created the Bechdel test. Um, and now I can't remember. Oh, this is bad. Uh, let's see. Brother of Abel is Cain. Let's see what else there is. Blank of Troy, Helen of Troy. Let's see. Let's see what else there is. Extraterrestrials. London Theatre District is. Let's see what else there is. Sibling's daughter. Sibling's daughter. Uh, let's see what else I can do. Oh, Time Machine Car and Back to the Future. That one you could also find online. Is DeLorean. Let's see what else there is. Made a grand speech. Okay, opposite of this one. I feel like this one is straightforward enough. I'm sort of going for ones that have straightforward answers, whether it be like things you can look up or things that you could just sort of know with 100% certainty. The opposite of this cardinal direction, west northwest, is east southeast. Just flip all the letters to the opposite side. That's all you need to do. Let's see. Psycho something Easton. Say goodbye to an enemy. Last multiple choice option. Okay, this one's Zac Efron, The Greatest Showman. British singer Rita Ora. And what is this? Accessory for a baby in a high chair. Let's just look at this for now. Okay. I think this might be enough to get started. So I'm gonna see if there's anything else I can get later on. But buffoons, this is bozos. So hopefully, when you see a Z in the grid, that sort of sets off like signals that you should look at that first because there aren't many words that have a Z in them. So having that restricts your options quite a bit. So this is bozos with buffoons. Then let's see if we can get this one. Accessory for a baby in a high chair. Well, a baby might have a bib and a high chair. I'm gonna go with that. Let's see what else there is. Let's see. Um, let's see. It's kind of bad when I say like, oh, I'm gonna pretend that you can search things up, and also there's just bits of some bits of trivia that I just genuinely don't know. Um, but let's see what this could be. Um, okay, I'm gonna give myself this one. This is weeps, so you can probably find this one. Guitar gently weeps in a classic George Harrison song. For me, I was just looking at the ones that was crossing it, but this looks like yeah. So you could also search this up if you wanted to, and this gives us some extra letters to work with. Start with this one. A soldier has failed to report is an AWOL. Then what is this? A military cap. Think of what if you just sort of picture it, you might think of berets. Um, also was I think the Black Panthers had black berets, so that's also a sort of military cap, one of those things. 1 to 3 dimensions. Okay, this one's an interesting one. So, um, this is fill in the blank, but I mean these ones are ones that I also like quite a lot. And when I started out, because it's quite easy to get. This one is to kick up a fuss, and so in this case you have to watch out because it is possible for a fill in the blank to have more than one word filling in here. I will say it's quite rare, and crossword constructors generally stay away from things like this. You'll only really see this happening with 3 or 4 letter words. So anything longer than 5 letters is very rare that a fill in the blank would have more than one word filling it. But up in this case is the correct words that go in this blank. Kick up a fuss. Counterculture drug in brief. So what kind of drugs are there? LSD associated with the hippies. All right, let's see. Then what else is there? 4.75 seconds to assemble a potato head per Guinness. Well, you could probably also just infer that from the clue itself, but if you want to search it up, you can see that that's the record for it. That much time to assemble a Mr. Potato Head. That's actually quite impressive. 4.75 seconds. How fast, like what actually counts as assembled? Can you just stick things in random places and that's assembled? I don't know. Uh, let's see what this might. Extraterrestrials. I'm gonna put an S there. Start to escalate. Jewel box. Okay. Let's see if there's more trivia that possibly we could get. Concert venues. Let's put an S there. And what is this? Like the smell of trees. Okay. Milky Way, for instance. Yeah, sure. Dr. Seuss book with the quote, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. This one is from the Lorax. Nice. Okay, so we have an X, which is also quite an uncommon letter. So let's just take a look at this, see if we can get it. What is the Milky Way, for instance? Milky Way is an example of a galaxy. Okay, then we have some here. Well, let's just try to get these. Final use for an old t-shirt. And it's crossing concert venues. And we also have an animation sheet. So a final use for an old t-shirt. This one's nice because you only need to go through a few letters, only the vowels. So this is a rag, could be a final use. And some concert venues might happen in arenas. And a cell, spelled with a single L, is just specifically for an animation sheet, like for example, like a still frame when it was still hand drawn, those kinds of things. All right, let's see what else we can get. We have something friendly, and what else is there? Some also blank today. I would also note that this is a title because there's a capital T here, so I'll just watch out for that. Oh, but I should give myself this one. To and fro is quite a nice one. Quite a common phrase as well. So to and fro, that's what it is. Okay. Um, to father, to high degree. Sibling's daughter. A sibling's daughter, I think, is your niece. And what else is there? Object hitting people's heads in old cartoons. So you might know what this is, might not know what it is, but times between dusk and dawn, there's an S here. And South American barbecue. I suppose you could also search this up. This is asada. That's where carne asada comes from. No, there's some really long ones as well. I'm very interested in seeing what these ones are. And also we have some revealer here that I'll get to at some point. Psychotherapy switcheroos, or what are hidden in 1725, 50, and 59. So what was hidden in here? Maybe I should look at this first. What is hidden inside this? Elor? Elo? Hello? Elor. It's a backwards of roll, so maybe that's what's going for. I can see this actually. This pattern shows up here as well, so I'm gonna see ELs over here. Then what could this be? So we have back elor ad, home for a single guy. This, I can see that this is bachelor, and bachelor something. So let's just figure out what this is. One of the three dimensions. We have width, height, and we have depth. So bachelor pad, you might also have gotten that one on your own. Bachelor pad and depth as one of the three dimensions. Okay, what is a hole for threading a lace? This one's kind of a obscure word, so I'm gonna skip that for now. Last multiple choice option. Often. What's the last multiple option? It could be none of the above. Another way of saying that is other, which is also something that shows up on forums and such. So enraged, this one is irate. You might be sort of the similar word as ire, sort of the same root as that ire, I-R-E. So irate means you're enraged. So what is this? Not as much. Might get that one. So L blank S blank, meaning not as much. The answer is less. Okay, then what is this? A kind of computer port. Let's look at that for later, but just think about that. Well, let's see what this answer should be. So let's suppose that you also search this one up. So I think this is Brett or something. Yeah, I think it's Brett. So Brett Easton Ellis. Yes, I do know that name actually. That does sound somewhat familiar. The answer is Brett for this, if you wanted to find that. Then what is this? What is a kind of computer port? Well, it's a USB. Okay, then let's see if there's something else that we might be able to get from perhaps some fact around here. Maybe some kind of trivia. Let's take a look at this. Gender neutral possessive. So I feel like I'm just gonna say what this is. This is there. We're in gender neutral possessive. And nice thing is we get this one, which should be able to give us something. Axle, for instance. And axle is like axle, like where wheels are on. So it's a rod. I'm thinking back to when it was like elementary school. And we made, I think it was like Pinewood derbies. I think that's what they were called. Like a lot of my friends were interested in Pinewood derby as a kid because they just made their own cars out of like little wooden chassis, and they had little rods which were the axles, and they put wheels on it, and they just sort of raced them like that. So that was interesting, and there was a lot of science behind that also, but I never really got into it as a kid. I think there was a whole thing on like how precise you had to make the wheels so that it didn't brush up against the side of the rails or something to make it go faster, but something like that. So let's see what else there is. College seniors test. I'm gonna say that this is the, I think I know this is. This is the SAT for college seniors. And what is this? Sat for a portrait. It's not, wait, it's not SAT, is it? Oh, sorry, college seniors test. A college seniors test, not high school seniors test. College seniors test is a GRE. Okay. Rejections, that's a no. Um, South American barbecue, I might have gotten wrong actually. This might have been asado. Carne asada and carne asado. I think it might have been asado. Yeah. This is not a very good example. I'm just kind of messing up the trivia on my own. So let's not do that. Um, let's see what this is. To decorate and fruit with a belly button. Okay, let's see if there's I'm gonna look at this H here. Not really much here. This one, okay. This one, I feel like you could also find this one at this point. Sort of what I like to do, well, at least what I used to do when I was doing puzzles, if I had enough letters to start off the word, I would sort of just put this like definition into like Google search and then just the first letter and then it will give me the word. And the word is eyelet, which is a hole for threading a lace. And I think the little thing that is on the tip of the shoelace is called an aglet, which was popularized by I think Phineas and Ferb to raise awareness for aglets. So now we know. So see you something. Then what is this? Please like and subscribe and a like on YouTube videos. These are outros. Let's see. Root used in making poi. I think we can also find that out if we wanted to. This is taro. Definitely taro. Couldn't be anything else. And what is this? You friendly. Not just my. Okay, I'm gonna start with this first. This is our. And what is this? You blank A today. So this is USA Today, which is I would consider it to be like kind of I think it's independent. I think it's an independent news thing. They have their own puzzles as well. I think they recently started their own crossword puzzles. They have a really good editor as well. He was a champion in the American crossword puzzle tournament. So yeah, that's them. So what is this? This is blank friendly. This is user friendly. And what is this? Showed again. So showed past tense and something. Showed again. I think of this most commonly with TV shows. So this would be reran. They might rerun an episode, for instance. Reran. Showed again. Let's see if I can figure out what this Bechdel is. It might not be the same Bechdel. I think it's the same Bechdel. Alison Bechdel. I think that's what it was. Alison Bechdel. I'm going to go with that. Right, okay. Let's also first address what this is. So psychotherapy reversals. I noticed that the pattern with this was that it was ELOR over here, and that is a roll. So roll something, and switcheroos, which is an S here. We're going to go with that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Figure out what that word is. And we're going to come back to that eventually. But let's see. It looks like with this, we have an E here. So for now, I'm fairly certain that there's going to be an LOR here as well. So then, what could this give us? A fruit with a belly button. So this is almost certainly going to be two words. And you're going to have to think, well, like where could the space in this word go? Could go here, could go here. I don't think there are too many words that end in ELO for us to have a space here, but something lore or aura. Seeing the aura, if you consider the aura, you might get this is orange, some kind of orange, and you might know what that is. But let's continue on this side. So rejections, since we only have one letter left, it has to be a vowel. You can run through them all, but nose is the most correct because nose means rejections, and 63 down in this puzzle. So it's describing itself, which is quite cool. Let's take a look at this one as well. Sat for a portrait. So sat is past tense, so this should be a D here. And what is this? 63 down in this puzzle. That is the end. Okay, now what's this? Sat for a portrait could be to pose, and to decorate something is to adorn it. All right, the SO here, does that give me something here? London Theatre District, you can type in, for instance, London Theatre District S blank, and it will give you Soho. So I'm gonna go Soho there. Then what else is there? Times between dusk and dawn. I feel like this one is fair enough. This one is nights. Times between dusk and dawn. Okay, let's see what else there is. To father is to Sir Blank and made a grand speech. So this is also a past tense. I'm going to go with an ed at the end. So this is sire, which is, I think, father in the sense of like to father children. You think of this in a very biblical sense. I think only in the Bible you really hear something like he sired two children. You don't actually say that in real life anymore. And of course, sire also is like thank you, sire, sort of like a title that you would like refer to like sort of in a way as like your majesty, like yes, sire. So sire has those two meanings. Sire, one of those meanings is to father. Democrats and socialists with the blank. So you might think about that for a little while. That's left, the left. Then what is this? Made a grand speech. So this one is orated, because an oration or an orator is one that makes a grand speech. Okay, let's see what else there is. So blank trap is a cage for crustaceans. So we already have the cage part of this with trap. The thing with Mondays is that they usually go like word for word. There's a part of each um, there's a part of each clue, like each word in the clue can like correspond nicely with some other part that's being described here. So something L blank 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 TER stands for a crustacean. So what could that be? Well, that could be a lobster. So it could be a lobster trap. And on that note, with the long answers, let's take a look at this one actually. CUNE blank blank R. And this is a rude goodbye to an enemy. So it should be somewhat of a rude connotation. And what word could go here? NE blank blank R. So this one would be never. See you never. Okay, so the V here is very interesting to me. V is also one of those you should pay attention to when you get one. So IV blank T blank blank for text on a red, white, and blue sticker. So a lot of hints here, sort of like just sort of hinting in this certain direction. But red, white, and blue, those are the colors for in America, and especially if you look at this, this happens to be two words, and you might get that this is the I voted sticker. So that's the text that goes on it. Okay, then let's take a look at this one. Mass blank Boston thoroughfare. This is Massachusetts Avenue. I should have thought about that a bit harder. I was sort of looking through this. I just couldn't think of this off the top of my head. Maybe I should have looked at what this definition was before I discounted it. But it is Massachusetts Avenue, abbreviated as AVE. Okay, what is this? To give up. And what is this one? So the V here also gives us a bit of a clue. Psychotherapy switcheroos, or what are hidden in here. So what's hidden in here? Role, and because we're going backwards, this is a role reversal, a psychotherapy switcheroo. Interesting. Okay, so that's the theme. We've got everything except for this. We'll come back to that. We crushed it. I think I might be able to get this one. This is booyah. And this one is very, okay, like the smell of trees. Trees gives me the idea that this is woodsy. And this word, come back to that one. To cede is to give up. And to zoom past is to race by. So this is a word like I just kind of intentionally like ignored this one because like I don't think people really use this word. I mean, I don't use this word as a ewer, but I've seen it before, only in puzzles, of course. I mean, that's the case with a lot of words. I feel like that I can get right away. Because ewer is one of those words, right? Like, how else are you supposed to clue it? It's not really a thing that people are familiar with, and so they kind of have very stock options for clues. That might just be me. I don't know. Was a passenger. If you were a passenger, and note the past tense here, this is rode. Okay, then what else could this be? To run after, ran after, with an ed at the end. What could this be? To start to escalate, and extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials, yeah. Had lunch. Okay, we're gonna go with had lunch because I think this one shows up enough that you would sort of get the idea. And also note that it's also a past tense. So the amount of past tense words that are 3 letters is also already quite small. 8 is the answer for that. What planets revolve around? Okay, the planets revolve around the sun. We're just going to go with that one. That one is quite simple. Mini albums. Let's take a look at that later. But extraterrestrials are aliens. And what could this be? To start to escalate. What is this? Mini albums. Yeah, we'll just give ourselves that. It's heat up. Sorry, EP, and I sort of spoiled it here. This is EPs, and this is heat up to start to escalate. Which leaves us with this to ran after, and jewel box, and this is a CD case. I think I didn't know a CD case was a jewel box. I thought CD case was just a case for CDs. I didn't know maybe jewel means CD, which is I didn't know that before, which is interesting. Okay, object hitting people's heads in old cartoons. I think I might have thought about that before, but how often the time is 12 o'clock each day? It happens twice. That's a nice one. Might be able to get that well. Okay, so Valley is a Glen. I'm thinking of the lyrics to Danny Boy in particular. Okay, what could this be? Response to scene in Aurora, maybe. And what is this one? An object hitting people's heads in old cartoons is an anvil. I'm thinking like, who was it? Wile E. Coyote just always ordered like anvils from Acme Corporation because just anvil hitting someone's head. I think that's just the sort of cartoonish way to get injured. Then this one you might get. This one is navel orange. And otherwise, you could run through. If you didn't get that, you could also run through the letters here. There's only a possible vowel that goes here, which is awe. You might be in awe when seen in aurora. And this is the nth degree, which is this typically include as a fill in the blank also. But even if you don't, you would see this eventually. A lot of times in puzzles is nth, the nth degree. Yeah, interestingly, nth is also a Scrabble word, even though it has no vowels in it. I would have thought nth would have been one of those that gets discounted from Scrabble. There are a couple of weird words that are Scrabble words that don't look like they should be words. There's one that's a word that's K bar. It's the letters KBAR, and it's like a kilobar or something. But I think it's also acceptable to say it as K bar. And of course, it's not actually pronounced like Kabar, but somehow it got accepted in the Scrabble dictionary. So there are a lot of weird combinations of letters that, you know, don't really register as like a quote unquote word, but in the Scrabble dictionary, sometimes they are words. Um, Anyways, yeah, I wonder if this strategy of going with like sort of pretending to like not I want to say pretending. I would say it's more like just trying to find the most optimal path to solving these puzzles in a way that makes it clear enough, like what these things are. Um, I hope that was helpful. You know, like I'm still sort of trying to figure out what's the best way to go about Mondays because otherwise they would be done quite quickly. I'm trying to see if there's a way that I can sort of talk through these in a more instructive fashion. But yeah, um, got through that in a pretty good time. Also, that's just sort of the power of these bits of trivia or just like Googleable things, you know. And some of them, you know, like some of them are just sort of riddle things, which are quite simple, honestly. Like how often the time is 12 o'clock each day, twice. Things like that. Also, like what planets revolve around sun. I think those ones are also quite easy to go off of. But there were, for instance, like some other strategies in general that you can employ. Like if you have made a grand speech or you have something like sat for a portrait, you would look at the past tense here and you could make an ed at the end, which is almost always correct, you know, but there's always a slight chance that perhaps the word is a past tense that doesn't end in an ed, for instance, like ate. Um, so you always have to watch out for that, but I think it's a generally a good strategy. Same thing if you have a plural or some conjugation with an s at the end. You have knights here, you have arenas, bozos on the top, um, aliens, EPs, things like that. Um, all of those are good strategies. You know, even if you don't have the entire clue, if you have partial information, that's always a good idea. And also, when you get enough words to sort of guess what the theme is, then you can also go at that and you can get a lot of um, letters really quickly from, um, you know, finding the pattern and then replicating that throughout the puzzle. So, yeah, I don't know. You can let me know if that was helpful or not. but I'm gonna probably try something similar, if not a bit different, next Monday. But yeah, this is a good puzzle. And I do think that for someone starting out, this would have been a really nice one because all of these words are very, very, very simple. Um, and yeah, I think it was a good one.